Welcome to Season 6 of the Charity Matters podcast. I'm Heidi Johnson, nonprofit founder, lifelong helper, and your host. I've been interviewing modern-day heroes for over a decade with my blog, and I'm so excited to be sharing these inspirational conversations with our podcast. Join me as we learn the challenges and stories of innovators, entrepreneurs, and modern-day heroes who set out to solve the problems of humanity. Did you know that today 1 in 36 babies born in the United States will have autism and 1 in 100 worldwide? Today's guest is no stranger to this fact. Alyssa Lego is the founder of Neurodiversity, and I'm so excited to share her amazing journey and our conversation about what she's doing to make a difference in the world of autism. So welcome, Alyssa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to get chatting all things autism acceptance and Neurodiversity. It's an honor.
We're really excited. And as we get back to, there's so many things happening. It seems like a great time to be having this conversation, starting our year right, all the great things that you're doing for the community. So why don't we start with you telling us about what Neurodiversity does?
Of course. So we are a children's book series, and our mission is to embrace neurodiversity and autism acceptance in ways that really haven't been done before. I am such a firm believer that education creates change, and I'm such an even more firm believer in the fact that starts with our youngest generations. So my philanthropic journey actually dates back to when I was 14 years old. Quite some years ago. Well,
I'm going to say not that many.
Not that many years ago. My 21st.
How are?
Yeah, my 21st birthday is going to be next week. So when I was 14, I actually started a lesson plan program with a 4th grade teacher of mine. It was called Friends Who Are Different. And it was I toured all the school districts in my area. And it was all about autism acceptance and inclusion. But a lot of things have changed since then. And it's really brought me back to creating content, visiting classrooms, and again, starting with that sentiment of motivating our younger generations to accept autism, embrace neurodiversity, and really become catalysts of change. So the Neurodiversity movement, we donate 100% of our proceeds to autism-focused charities. With each book purchase, each purchase that somebody makes is making a difference to the communities. So we do more than churn out books and churn out titles. We also do a lot of that thought leadership, those interactive coloring books and activities. We have a journal coming very soon. So it's a really wonderful mix that touches all different ages, all different learning abilities. And that's what it's about. It's about, unlocking literature and the magic of reading and the magic of friendship through an autism and neurodiverse lens.
I love that. I mean, you are very young, started very young being philanthropic, but people don't usually wake up and say, I'm going to be a nonprofit when I grow up, and I'm going to do this, and that. And people want to be a teacher maybe, or a firefighter or a doctor, but maybe not necessarily a nonprofit. So you mentioned your brother, Michael, but maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more on kind of your early beginning of this. And you're still early in your journey, but your earliest beginnings and kind of how this would be.
Of course. So this really all began from my relationship, was inspired by my relationship with my younger brother, personally, but then also what I witnessed on the outside. And as an older sister to someone on the spectrum, I learned pretty early on that the world just was not designed for autistic people. We have a long ways to go in terms of true autism acceptance rather than just awareness. And there were so many moments that just broke my heart as a young girl from as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. I remember just instances of sheer bullying because my brother couldn't communicate just like you and me, because he communicated in a different way, just because his brain was wired a certain way. He was discriminated against in the school, even just in the community. I remember there was a family outing that we went on in February 2018. So I was in high school at the time, and my brother wanted to visit Grand Central Station because he loves the movie Madagascar. And there's a little scene in Madagascar in Grand Central Station. And my brother's 2.5 years younger than me. So he was in his early teens at this point. And he's in Grand Central Station with my mom, and he's excited. He's flapping his hands. He's stimming because he's at Grand Central Station, the place that he, saw on TV and wanted to visit. And there was a woman either in the proximity of my brother, and she looked at my mom and said, "What's wrong with him?" And there have been so many moments like that, so many moments of injustice like that throughout my brother's life. And it was just something that made me mad. It broke my heart. And in connecting with other nonprofit founders and other advocates, I think everybody has that moment that really stirs them, that makes them tick. And as that older sister, I wanted to do whatever I could to put it simply, to make the world a better place for my brother and people that were experiencing the world in a similar way to my brother. And for me, I love to write and I love to speak. So that's how the lesson plan program started all those years ago. And really the rest is history.
You've had this in you you've working there and seeing this, but there's a lot of people that are siblings with autism, and they might be a wonderful sibling, don't go out and act that. So what do you think it was that triggered you have to do something? What do you think that, I'm always fascinated with what, like was the moment in the train station? Was it that you just always knew you were going to do something? Because you've been doing this work for a long time and you're 1 years old.
That's a great question. So, of course, being a protective older sister, I kind of wanted to do whatever I could to benefit my brother and others like my brother. And, at 8 years old, I don't really think I had the understanding of what I could actually do. That's pretty young. But I was raised in a home that really embraced and promoted volunteerism and giving back to your community, giving back to the less fortunate. And I think my early introduction to volunteerism and getting involved with other organizations and supporting the work that they were doing was with Special Olympics. So I volunteered. I was an ambassador with Special Olympics from, I think, the time I was 9 years old to maybe about 13 and 14. So I would fundraise for the organization. I got the chance to attend events, and I was just really shocked at the community that existed in spaces like that. And it was the first time where I actually delivered a motivational speech when I was 12 at one of the Special Olympics events. And I remember just thinking to myself, wow, this is really a space where, well, I love to talk to people. I love connecting with others. And this is a place where I can use that force for good. And that, I believe, is really where it all started. I remember I hosted, with a lot of help from my parents, I hosted an ice cream social to benefit Special Olympics when I was in the 5th grade, and everybody came out. My whole school came out, all my teachers, they were there to support. And at that point, I was excited because it was a cool thing for a kid to do. But I think there, even at that young age, I realized, wow, like I am part of something so much bigger, bigger than myself. And then as I got older, I started to realize, well, I really want to see what these proceeds and what these funds are doing. And that's what led me to create things like You Me Neurodiversity, where I could really see where that money was going and feel that impact and continue making those connections firsthand.
I think that that's amazing. And the fact that you have the since you strike me as an old soul, that you have the wisdom to sense the meaning of community, even from your ice cream social, to see what a bigger connection and a piece are in a bigger world. It's going to serve you very well. And I know you're going to be incredibly successful. So talk to me about the challenges. I mean, you're going to school, you're nonprofit, you're create program and material for it. And talk to me about challenges. How, your money, you're selling books, all these things. Talk to me about some of the challenges that you've encountered.
Of course. I think I've really seen ageism in action a lot, unfortunately. Being 14 and sitting, my mom was in the back because I was a minor, so she had to be there, but pitching to the Board of Education for why they should put my lesson plan in schools, as if I have any sort of expertise at that young age. So I have seen a lot of ageism and people just not understanding that young people can be the change and young people can start great things and be a part of great things. And unfortunately, I think that's something that deters a lot of young people away from volunteerism or starting their own organization or doing whatever kind of advocacy work suits them, because they think that's for people who already have established careers or who already have X amount of years doing certain things. And then I think another challenge that I still face day to day is just time management. It's being a full-time college student, and being the creator of Neurodiversity, being involved in schools, of reserving time for family and friends, and of course, taking care of myself. It's definitely not easy, but I think just being disciplined with myself, but also taking care of myself allows me to kind of fill all of those buckets. And with that, I've really learned the importance of teamwork and communication. So I think it's a skill. Time management is a skill that I'm continuing to develop as I get older, but it's just been such an incredible journey so far. And I'm so grateful to the collection of people that have really helped me get to this point and inspire me to continue on.
And by the way, for your mom, she sounds like a total rock. Any mom who's taking her child to school board. Yeah. It's an A+ in Mike. So huge shout out to Lego there. So, and about the ageism also, I run the youth leadership organization as my day job, a nonprofit that is run by kids, and our college kids teach our high school kids, and our high school kids teach our middle school kids leadership. And we let them run the nonprofit. When they have an idea, they want a high school overnight program, pitch it to me. They have to give me the budget. But if it's a great one, then we do it. And there's not a lot of places for these young leaders like myself to develop those leadership skills. I mean, and it's really, I know that young kids can do anything if given the support and the system and the work that they can do. But I do think people listening, I hope that they hear this and invest in one young, mentor them, bring them along, because you guys are amazing and you look and do things differently and more creative, and oftentimes ways than we would do them. So just a little shout out for the ageism conversation, because I totally hear you with that. So what fuels you? I mean, here you are, you're 21, almost 21, but years you'll be 21, and you are going to school, you have a full load. Just being a time student is a huge time in your life with all sorts of things that you're juggling, and yet you keep adding to it to make a difference. And so what days when you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this for the nonprofit, I have to do this, I have a test, a date, I have whatever it's, I have a life. And I think the responsibility we feel sometimes as non-founders is it's bigger and what most people feel, because of the responsibility of the people that serve. So what fuels you when you get overwhelmed like that? What makes you keep going?
My brother. I mean, it goes back to the initial inspiration. So I actually just became one of my brother's legal guardians because he just turned 18 years old. And that is one thing that certainly keeps me up at night, but also continues to inspire and motivate me. Just the prospect and the idea of my brother being able to live a thriving, fulfilling life in a community that supports him is what inspires me and what motivates me to write that social media post when I don't really feel like doing it, or change the dimensions of the book PDF for the 7 millionth time before uploading it, or correcting that typo, or fixing that graphic, and some of the tedious things that none of us want to do. It just goes back to that initial inspiration. And I think that's the most magical thing about founders and about the nonprofit space, because everybody has that story. Everybody has that. It's almost like a duality between the vision and then the what makes you tick. So seeing the present, seeing the past, but then knowing what the future can be. And knowing that you're a part of that and knowing that you're writing that story, I guess in my case, literally writing that story is just incredibly inspiring. And then, of course, knowing that I don't walk alone is another thing that really inspires me as well. I believe the autism prevalence rate is 1 in 30 in the state of New Jersey. Maybe even lower.
I think it's 1 in 30, 33 now nationally is what I think it is. I could be wrong.
Nationally 1 in 33. And knowing that there are so many self-advocates, so many parents, so many caregivers, so many siblings that are walking this walk and talking this talk with me is something that's also really inspiring. And while the You Me Neurodiversity books and the pieces of our collection are for the younger generations, they're also for the self-advocates and the siblings and the caregivers. Right. And knowing that I'm kind of a part of that bigger family and bigger community that just gets it is what inspires me to keep doing the work to get the rest of the community and the rest of the world to also just quote unquote get it.
Right. Well, I think that's awesome. I know you're new and you're just launching, so impact is kind of a tricky thing, but it's not always an easy question, even with the oldest of knowledge, because measuring things like love and leadership and engagement and some of the things that we do to solve society's biggest problems are not measurable. We know we're making an impact. We know from the people that we're serving, but you can't always measure it. It's not like you're asking brother, so what did you think of the book? And how did that, you don't have measurables on impact. But what do you think your impact is going to be, or what would you describe of your work?
Sure. So I am really excited to get into schools with the You Me Neurodiversity program. That's something that I'm really looking forward to. In the past, I've been able to bring that earlier lesson plan program to other schools and celebrate World Autism Day. In 2019, we brought the lesson plan with another nonprofit that I was involved with at the time. We brought that lesson plan program to a big school, and there were 500 young students who were sitting there reading the book with us. The book we were using was called My Best Friend Will. It's all about autism acceptance, friendship, and inclusion. We would read the book for them. We would do a simulation to show, how to be respectful of friends and students that have a disability or have learning differences. And then all of the students, they would come up and they would sign their name on this board. They'd put it on the board to kind of show that they were now an advocate and an ambassador for autism appreciation and acceptance. And there were a lot of conversations that I had with those 500 kids, maybe the handful that I was able to talk to. And I just saw that they really just understood. And maybe autism or different neurotypes were explained to them in a way where it hadn't been explained to them before. Maybe this was their first time really having a serious conversation about inclusion and about respecting students with disabilities and welcoming them into their circles. So I'm really excited to partner with more schools in this coming year, especially for April, Autism Appreciation Month. And I would love to just continue getting our books into the hands of parents and students. And of course, seeing that impact is unlike anything else. A few years ago, with an earlier nonprofit that I was involved with, we were able to donate an iPad, a protective case, and alternative augmentative communication software to an individual on the spectrum. And we were able to hand deliver this iPad to him and watch as he was able to play, to speak, to communicate with this iPad, and knowing that this was the result of connecting with people and having them support the work that we were doing, and knowing that could have such a profound impact on one life
Right.
made all of that behind the scenes work so worth it. So I'm so looking forward to moments like that again. And I'm just personally really excited about this project because it does take me back to my roots and being in the classroom and creating content. So I'm really excited to see the impact that we're able to generate with the funds we're going to raise from the book. But then on the other hand, I'm really excited to see how many students and young children are touched by the stories, and in hopes that it'll shift their perception a little bit.
That is terrific. That is so great. So what's your big dream for Neurodiversity? Because you can't be a founder without having we're all entrepreneurs and we all have a dream of starting something, and then we start and then the dream gets bigger. What's the dream look like for you?
I would love to turn Yumi Neurodiversity into a household go-to name for reading about autism acceptance, reading about neurodiversity, and reading about inclusion. I really would love to continue developing our interactive activity books, coming up with themed activity books for Christmas and for Halloween and Hanukkah, and just taking all of these great experiences that kids have in the classroom and making them inclusive, making them neurodiversity affirming. And I really do believe that we could do that with our books and with our programs. And I'm also really hoping to partner with some more schools as well, to get into those classrooms, speak with the children, and really have them understand what it means to be an ambassador of acceptance, and then one day to pass the torch on in hopes of just creating a more inclusive world.
I think that's a great dream. So are you majoring in business or education?
So I'm kind of a hybrid of the two. I'm a communication and history major,
Okay.
hoping to channel that into a career in strategic communication, public relations. I'm really excited. Next summer, I'm going to be interning with FTI Consulting on their strategic communications team. So it's just a really wonderful mix of the work that I love doing, writing, reading, speaking, connecting with others. And then I'm really excited to be able to apply that to the business world and the corporate environment. And I know it's going to be such a great learning experience for me. So I'm really excited to see the impact that that's going to have on my career.
That is great. Well, you're already planning about next summer and this summer coming up, and you already have plans for next summer. You're definitely on your way So what life lesson, what have you learned? I mean, obviously you've learned a lot and you're very wise being young. It's not an ageism, but you are. And I think it's fantastic. But you have a lot of wisdom. You've seen, witnessed a lot in a short time. So what lesson have you just learned this journey of starting a nonprofit and creating this organization?
Of course. So I think listening as much as you speak is one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from 2017 to very recently. I was really involved in spearheading fundraising and programming for an autism directly supporting autism. Sorry, an organization that directly supported autism. And in that, I think I really learned the great power of teamwork and of listening as a tool for leadership. Because it's really not about having the loudest voice in the room, but making sure that everybody else in the room feels like they have a stake in the conversation and feels like they're being heard. And that's something that I've really been able to translate into a lot of this different spaces that I take up. And then I think another great lesson that I've learned is listening to the communities that you serve. I am so big on self-advocacy and respecting self-advocacy, amplifying autistic voices, and just amplifying self-advocacy. It's in itself, it's such a powerful thing, such a powerful tool. And that is one piece of advice that I would give to really any founder, young or old, is to really listen to the communities you serve, to understand those nuances. Because if you're in a space where you can really affect change, you want to make sure you're going you're using your passion for a purpose and going about things in a very purposeful and intentional and really equitable way. So that is a lesson that I've really learned firsthand through trial and error, but it's one of the most important things that really guides everything I do, is listening to the communities that I'm serving.
It's a great lesson. Do you think you've doing this work? Do you think that you evolved and grown in doing this? And how so?
Oh, absolutely. I think when I was younger, looking back to when I was 14, there was so much I didn't know, but I was just really excited to learn and to use my talents for a greater purpose at that young age. And I think the greatest transformation I've seen in myself is just intention, just being more intentional, being more purposeful about the work that I do, not just doing something to say that I did it, but really understanding why. And I've also realized the power of connecting with others. You never know when a fleeting connection or a fleeting conversation with someone really ends up having such a great impact on your life later down the road. So that's something that I always really keep in mind, and just the importance of building great relationships is something that I cherish now that I'm older, that maybe I didn't really understand the depth and breadth of that at that young age.
That'll only just keep getting better, because the power of connection is definitely a gift. And the longer you're around, the deeper and longer those connections go. So I know that that's something that you definitely have success with. So talk to me about where we can find these phenomenal books, how we can support you, how we can get involved, if we have or know someone in the autistic community that needs access to them, or we need a school. Talk to us about how we can support you in your work.
Of course. So the easiest and fastest way to connect with us is just going to be on social. We are at You, Me, Neurodiversity on all platforms. So that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. I'm not sure if I mentioned LinkedIn, but also LinkedIn. So if you'd like to just give a following to sending a DM to liking, we would love to connect with you on social media. So that's definitely the easiest and fastest way, where we're the most active and can get in touch with you quickly. And then if you would like to check out either our books, our interactive activity books, or some of the more or some of the other projects that we have coming out over the course of this year, the best way to do that is over on Amazon. So just typing in one of our titles, I'll go over the ones that we have out now. So currently that's Max and the Tower of Acceptance, Lily Finds Her Voice. Soon we'll have Henry Gets a Birthday Invitation coming out. And then our interactive activity book that's also out now and available is Colorful Minds, Colorful World, a neurodiverse coloring adventure. You can also check out my Amazon Author Central page to get a cohesive list of all of the You, Me, Neurodiversity collection pieces. So that's just going to be my name, Alyssa Lego, on Amazon Author Central. But if worse comes to worse, we will see you over on social media at You, Me, Neurodiversity. That's the easiest and quickest way. And yeah, we really can't wait to see you there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I hope everybody listening is definitely going to Amazon and checking it out, and social media to follow you, those places. And I think the work you're doing is so fantastic, so important. As we talked about, 1 in 30 currently kids are born on the spectrum of some point, autism. So what you're doing is more needed now than ever, and will gift and legacy your brother and your family. I'm just really so impressed with you, and can't wait to see you go next, because I think it's going to be really fantastic. I have a feeling this isn't the last time we talk, is all I have to say. So thank you so much, Alyssa, for joining us.
Thank you. It's been such an honor to be here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your online community now.
You are. Welcome aboard. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Charity Matters podcast. I really enjoyed talking to Alyssa about what it takes to start a business that truly changes people's lives. I think her comment about using her gifts for a purpose was so inspiring and true. To learn more about modern day heroes like Alyssa, or if you'd like to reach out to us, visit us at charity-matters.com or connect with us on Instagram at Charity Matters. And if you enjoyed our conversation, we would love it if you shared this with your family and friends. And please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. But more than that, thank you for caring, for believing in goodness, and for being a part of our movement. You are exactly what the world needs more of. Remember that together we can make a difference, one small act of kindness at a time. Charity matters.